So Adam, thanks very much for making it here today, not wearing shoes. It's fine, no worries. It's the kind of party we have. Yeah.
I decided to take it as casual as possible, but I appreciate the invitation.
Excellent. So for people who are not familiar with your work, I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been in the crypto space since 2012. But Adam, when did you get into crypto?
So I first got into crypto in 2011. I doxed myself in 2013 and started a show with Andreas Antonopoulos and Stephanie Murphy, which we just retired. I almost put out the last episode 9 years in, right before I got on the plane, but I didn't have quite enough time, so I'll be coming out next week. But that was kind of the right place, right time moment for me. It started my journey then really far down a whole bunch of different rabbit holes. I wound up introducing people like Dan Larimer and Charles Hoskinson to the space, and just in general, I also introduced them as co-founders on the project before Charles got very, very unceremoniously booted from it. That was before he started Cardano. But anyways, like the opportunity to kind of be, the platform at that moment to enable all of these different people who were doing these incredible things, but there was really no mainstream attention or non-engineer attention, really. That was kind of the role that I played in the very early ecosystem. And then we parlayed that. Tatiana and I met in October of 2013, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and we immediately started talking about concepts that I had been thinking about, like album coins and label coins. And label coins was really, I think, the first thing that we talked about, which was this idea of you could have this token where it could have a speculative increase in value that wasn't actually like speculation, because it would gain in utility, right? You have a label that releases these tokens, and then as people buy them and as they release more music, the sort of value of owning the token goes up because it gives you access to more of this, license-free music.
Hold your mic a little closer. Sorry.
Yeah, and so once you've got that kind of settled, and once you've got, this kind of natural increase in value mechanism there, then you can do all kinds of things, and it sets up a really interesting game theory around this stuff. So that was kind of the very first thing. We never wound up building out label coins, but we did wind up building out token.fm in 2016, 2017. Tatiana and I released the first music streaming tokens. Collectively, I'm the first hobbyist and she's the first professional. And, and so again, it's been wild to see how much the space has changed, I think, in that time. But Tatiana, I come at this from a very, I'm not a developer, but I understand the technicals well enough to kind of speak developer. I don't really feel like that's your situation. And I know that it's been an interesting kind of journey for you. How has it been being so early to all of these things?
Very, very difficult. No, I mean, it's been a really exciting ride. I really wish that I had a vague concept of what anything technical entailed. I really could barely tell you what a programmer did. In fact, I couldn't at all. And so that was a little bit frustrating, and being really early on, it gives you a lot of appreciation for what the, technical folks are actually building here. For sure. It did take a while, and it's nice to see so many different people kind of coming into it. I'm happy we've got Eric here. He's going to be talking about NFTs early on, later on this evening, but he was in the space very early. So I don't know. I just think it's really nice to see, especially Miami, becoming this center for experimentation. And it also has a big spirit of fun here. Yeah, no, definitely. We're going to be talking more about Miami later. We've got a really great panel centered specifically around that. But let's talk about the art for a minute, because I think that's certainly, so I was full on crypto. I was a managing editor at CoinDesk for a couple of years, built their podcast network, and I left that to start this project called Pixelmind, which is basically, we started it coming up on a year ago at the end of this month. And we worked with Tatiana. Actually, these images were created in October of last year, believe it or not. And what they are is they're composited images where where Tatiana did a photo shoot, and then we processed her images through different types of artificial intelligence to modify it against different styles and different sorts of ways. And this is a technology that actually allows you to use your words to create, which is super empowering. And so the kind of end result of it is this, which is actually a little bit of a hybrid image, where we take the processed version and then we sort of reapply the human elements to it so that you keep the stylized elements. But I mean, that's the, that's the thing that I'm super excited about right now, is we're in this moment in time where, when we first got interested in Bitcoin back in 2012, 2013, kind of that era, we're at this moment where there was a critical mass where this technology that was super disruptive and important could zoom past, right, where it was and gain at a much faster pace. And that's what we've seen in AI art over the last, call it 3 months, but
the entire time we've been doing it in particular. As far as like, not talking about the early crypto stuff, but talking about this type of an experience, how does it feel to be one of the first people to actually be doing, if not the first person? I haven't actually seen anybody do this type of work where you're combining together, traditional images, right, with this type of stylized approach, and then creating NFTs based off of that.
Well, so it's been really interesting because I kind of hate technology. I know I'm in the wrong field. I saw Terminator 2 very early on. I was like, screw these machines. I'm not letting them near me. But you know what I think is pretty cool about what we did was that it actually enhanced the artwork. Like as a singer-songwriter, as an artist, sometimes you don't have money for a graphic designer. And I'm not trying to put the graphic designers out of work, but like I also don't have extra money necessarily, and a lot of artists don't. So this is a fun thing where even if you're not necessarily artistically inclined, you can utilize the AI art. But Nikki, my graphic designer, wasn't put out of a job because then she added on these additional layers. And one of the things that I found interesting was that you can actually use it as a tool, even as an artist, to basically create work more quickly.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the introduction of a tool like Photoshop, many, many years ago at this point, right? Like at the same point, that had the same kinds of implications for designers, which is that it makes it easier to be a designer, but it also makes it so that designers who are actually designers can sort of amplify their own creativity as a result of that and productivity. And that's kind of what I think we're seeing with this AI stuff, is it's a lot less about trying to create, like a version of Tatiana, that can make decisions as an artificial intelligence and create as much, art as it wants. And it's more about helping you as an artist to amplify your own work and helping people, again, like Nikki, to take what would typically have taken many, many, many hours and make it so that it only takes a couple hours. So they don't have to do sort of like the fine work as opposed to, all of the concepts. And if you want to brainstorm or something like that, you just create, 1,000 images and like, it doesn't, it's like, it's not a thing. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm super excited about this.
Well, I mean, I thought it was really neat. And also, like, when you're first, when we were first doing them, the images did not look as, the face was not as good.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they were able to make a change. But you know what I kind of found appealing about it was that I was like the first woman in your AI machine. So I was like the Eve. And then I became less vain about it. I was like, it doesn't matter if I'm ugly, I'm the first one. And so, I don't know, I think it's just like a fun thing to be able to play with and something that we're looking forward to doing for the new album. So Love Songs for Idiots is an album, of course, about love and, kind of funny, and it's a little bit silly. So hopefully we'll be able to relate with other people and co-create some art pieces together using the AI. And then maybe we issue NFTs, like we figure out what we want to do. But it's, I think, a fun way to interact with your fans and also educate them and play around with them in something that they haven't gotten to do before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, AI art is for sure having a moment kind of right now for the last couple of months. Like there's so much happening right now. But what's still true about it is that in order to get really good results out of it, you still need to understand how to speak computer to a certain extent, right? And so that's really kind of what we've tried to do with like the co-creation series. And that's, again, like what it allows you to do is it allows you to kind of harness artificial intelligence as a way to allow people to create with you. And that's really what we see. We see, again, brands and individuals and artists and stuff like that in the future, creating interactive series rather than just creating something and then putting it out there and letting people buy a random one, actually letting collectors become, co-creators along with that and, take part in the experience. So and I think increasingly that's what this stuff is. This stuff winds up being experience, right?
Oh, I have an entire series of artwork that will be available soon. I'm still figuring out the distribution method. We were working on this earlier. Adam, you want to tell us what we did?
Yeah, sure. So the way that we create series is we basically take a look at like what are the kind of core characteristics about the person or the artist, like what are the stylistic characteristics. And so what Tatiana wanted this morning when we started talking about this is she wanted 1980s style, Miami style graffiti that then had kind of romantic characteristics about it so that you could create different graffiti versions of sort of different concepts. And so that's what this is. This series came together and you're seeing a lot of stuff that random people created who are in our beta already. Because we made this, yeah, and also a bunch of people have created stuff here. So, but I think that I think Dee. So this is Dee over here, Dee Bailey. She works at at 3:30 as well, which is the company behind Pixelmind. And we're actually giving away 75 free months of the beta, so 75 individual free months. There's a code if you go to beta.pixelmind.ai, which is CMH Salon. So it's good for the next 2 days, so you don't have to do it now. But if you want to try it out, that's the way to do it. And it's pretty cool. And so in addition to this type of thing that we're looking at, which are series, there's also freeform creation. So if you're somebody who's like a hardcore artist and you want to really get into the nitty gritty and create amazing stuff, then that's possible too. But most people just prefer these types of things. It's a little bit easier. But it'll get to be pretty great. So Tatiana, you want to move on to our next thing in the program? Or you?
I think so. What else is there should I talk about? I don't know.
I mean, what's your
I got
favorite
live
song
music
off the
coming
album?
on soon.
Yeah, I mean, so like you're going to be debuting the album later today with.
I am going to be debuting the album. Thank you for asking me. I love talking about music. So this is the first album where I feel like I have a fair amount of support. I have a really great team. I have a cool music PR person that's not interested in my politics. He's like, I'm just thinking we're going to lean on your music.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, okay, let's do that. This is great. So that's really neat. The album is pretty personal. I have a lot of different songs on there, but the song that I'm leading with is called Keep Your Chin Up. So that's the first single. Everybody's been, miserable, kind of like bad vibes around for a couple years now. And I feel like, I don't know, even in our darkest days, we can take a lesson from Ross and, find hope. And I encourage us all to do that. And, it's kind of a fun song, so I'll be playing that and a bunch of other ones for you guys a little bit later.
Right on.
Great.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you
Let's
for this,
get started. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, everybody. Thank
Okay.
you all for coming.